We are the Walking Dead Maniacs. I promise we are. We should be. Well, I know
Okay,
I
that
am. We are the Walking Dead Maniacs.
Hi y'all, I'm Gina.
And I'm Felix. Today we have the last episode ever of The Walking Dead, Season 11, Episode 24, Rest in Peace.
Daryl gets Judith to the hospital and then is knocked out by the Commonwealth soldiers. The survivors go to town on the walkers as Jules is devoured and Luke is bitten. Back at the hospital, Daryl and Carol aid Judith while Magna, Connie, and Kelly and Yumiko grieve for Luke. The princess and Max burst Mercer out of his cell while Rosita, Eugene, and Father Gabriel find Coco and Rosie.
For the first time, well, not for the first time in a long time, but since the Whispers, I felt a little bit of the horror-esque. It felt like a horror TV show again, especially with the whole Rosita, Father Gabriel, and Eugene part. You didn't know who was going to live or die. You didn't know what was going to happen, and especially when Rosita falls backwards with Coco strapped to her into the pit of walkers. That just I was just like, whoa, that really got me there. Daryl, I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
I watched
Go ahead.
I watched this several times, and you said on here it says Rosita, Eugene, and Father Gabriel find Coco and Rosie. Who is Rosie? Because I
Okay.
knew there was a second baby, and Eugene had the second baby.
Yes. That Rosie is just kind of like Gracie. You know how Rick found Gracie in a random room when they were fighting the Saviors? Um, they
Okay, so where
Rosie
did
was
she
right
come from?
there. She was right there with Coco. She was in the nursery. So when they saved Coco, they also saved. Well, we find out at the end of the
Right.
episode that Eugene and Max end up adopting her, and they name her after Rosita, Rosie.
See, that's not the what I got. That's not what I got at all. They saved two babies, Coco and another baby, but it was a year later when you saw Max and Eugene. I think that was Max and Eugene's baby that they named Rosie.
You know what? Seeing it a second time, I was tripping on that too because the baby didn't look a year older. Because
No.
yeah, Coco was older, and they should be the same age. They should both be a little over one
Yes.
because they were both the same age when they rescued him.
And that one that Max was holding with Eugene, that was a tiny baby, tiny.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and look into that because that's true. They did save two babies. So I don't know.
Yep.
I really don't. That's a good
I
catch.
don't know whose
I
baby
just
that was.
assumed. I assumed that was the one they saved, but you're right. It can't be.
Yeah. So let's go back to the actual episode though. Judith needed blood, and Daryl gave Judith blood, which was a lot. It was similar to Carl and Rick. And,
Yes.
Carol said, well, we don't know what type you have. And he said, it doesn't matter. I've got blood that matches everybody. Merle used to make me sell it for extra money. So I thought
That was
that was an
funny.
awesome throwback.
Yeah. Bringing up Merle.
Yep, bringing up Merle and just doing the same thing that Rick did for Carl.
Yeah. I had it on my notes as well that talk about callbacks when they leave Judith in the room. Rick puts um, a stretcher right in front of the doors, and that's the exact
Shane
same
did.
thing Shane did to Rick. I was
Right.
like, that's what Shane did. There was a lot of little subtle
Yeah.
callbacks up in there.
Daryl put the stretcher.
Judith and Lydia receive aid as Negan tells Maggie he's sorry. Eugene realizes Rosita was bitten in Coco's rescue. As Judith finally tells Daryl and Carol about Michonne looking for Rick, the survivors decide to help Mercer rescue the people of the Commonwealth. Elijah, Jerry, and Lance are reunited with the survivors. Teamwork, the cults of personality, then the estates go boom. There's a lot that happened in there. First thing that
Go
comes
ahead.
to mind,
Was that Lance? Because I looked and I couldn't really tell. Was that Lance with them
yes,
as a walker?
Lance was the walker that, um, and I got this on my notes as well, so I'm going to
Okay.
go ahead and repeat it. But Lance, that is the way Carol dies in the comic. Actually, is you know how Pamela was going to do death by suicide through walker bite. That's exactly how
Right.
that's exactly how Carol dies in the comic. She just pretty much slowly
Right. I
goes
knew
up
that.
into a to a walker, and that's how she goes. But yeah, that was Lance. That was Lance. She was itching towards.
Carol shoots Lance in the head.
No, Maggie does.
No, Carol and
Oh,
Daryl
when
save Lance from the prison. Remember he was locked in the jail cell, and then he's leading them away, trying to get them to the train or whatever.
didn't
And when
she
he
get him
tells
in the
them there's a
heart?
train, no, she hit him in the head. I'm almost positive.
I'm gonna have to go back and see that. I see what you're
I'm
saying
gonna have
now.
to go back and see now.
Damn, I don't know. To be honest, I thought it was the chest because I know he spits out blood when he's laying on the ground, and check it out. Daryl
I'm gonna have to look.
says, Daryl
Okay,
says
so
the
everybody's gonna have to
line.
stay posted. I'll have to look that up.
Daryl says the line, "We ain't the Walking Dead." I got chills. I got chills when he said it
Yes.
because I was waiting. I didn't know who
Right.
was going
I
to
did
say
too.
it. I knew someone was going to say it because that's Rick's main line in the speech I've said a million times. When he puts the people of the Commonwealth and hid the survivors together,
Right.
when they finally reach peace in the comic, that's the last thing he says, which is Rick's full circle moment because in the comic, in the beginning of the comic, he's like, "We are the Walking Dead," and then at the end, he says, "We ain't the Walking Dead." So that's Daryl's, but
Right.
that's also full circle for Daryl's character because remember episode I think 7, season 5 is when
In the
they're in the
barn?
barn and Rick tells the story that we are
Right.
the Walking Dead. And Daryl gets
Right.
up and he says, "We no, we're not." And he gets up and walks away. So that paid
Uh-huh.
perfect homage to that as well. Also,
When Eugene goes up and talks, you already read your part. When Eugene goes up and talks to Rosita and he just asks her, were you, because she tells him, no, I just want to soak her in. I thought that was fitting that Eugene was the first one to know,
yeah,
even
and
before Gabriel,
he kind of knew before he knew. And
because her and
she
Eugene
doesn't,
came on together.
yeah. And then she just shows him. She doesn't even say it. She
Yeah,
just shows him her back. And
right.
he knows he wants to leave her there with Coco, her last as much time as she can with
Right.
her. So he ups and then teary eyed, he just goes and sits back down, and Max is like, "What's going on?" And you could just see how broken he is when that.
Yes.
But also, other another full circle moment was Father Gabriel when he says, "I'm letting them in, and I'm going to kill anyone that tries to stop me." Well,
Right.
when he was introduced, we find out that he locks all of his out,
Congregation out.
yeah,
Yes.
congregation out, and they all died because he didn't do anything about it. He was too chicken shit to do
Right.
anything about it. And
Yes.
now he's come so far along that he's like, he'll risk his life and he'll kill anyone he has to just to open the
Right.
gates. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yes. And this is the end of the episode, more towards the end of the episode. Rosita gets a full warrior send off. she's on the bed. She's with Coco. Gabriel comes and takes Coco away, and Eugene stays with her till the end.
That
And it just
is,
seemed like
I
what?
hate bringing up the comic all the time, but that's how Andrea dies in the comic. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
she gets
I just
bit. She gets bitten. I forget,
yeah,
but Andrea gets bitten, saving Eugene, and Andrea is actually the Michonne of the
right,
comic because she's with
yeah,
Rick up until almost the
yeah.
very end, and at the very end, she's in bed, and then she says goodbye to Rick. She says goodbye to Carl, and then she slowly goes just like Rosita does in the show.
Pamela gets locked up. Maggie and Negan have a heart to heart, and their survivors say their goodbyes to Rosita. 1 year later, all of the communities are prospering, and we see Rick and Michonne,
Yes,
and it's
yes.
confusing.
It's not,
It's
but
amazing, but it's confusing.
I'll go ahead and lay out how I got it. But Judith, when Rosita doesn't tell Father Gabriel who she's with, um, of that she was bitten, but when she leans over and the Father Gabriel's face, Judith just stays staring at them with this look that she knows what's she is her mom and dad,
Right.
or
At
Michonne
the
and Rick's
table.
daughter, because she knows, she read between the lines and she knows what was going on, and her face said it all right there.
I
Oh,
liked the dinner scene, the table scene. There at the end, it reminded me of season 7, episode 1.
yeah, when
So,
we lost Glenn and Abraham, but it also reminded me of the CDC too. Just before Jenner blew it up, they had that one last final meal there as well. It reminded me of both of those though, and then also reminded me of the season 7, episode 1. I'm gonna go down my list and I'm gonna hit up how I understood the ending. Okay, we already touched on Daryl
okay.
locking the doors in the beginning. The climber with the rock on the window, also, that's a callback to season 1 when they were in that department store, and
Right.
the walker did the same thing.
Yes.
Negan telling Maggie about how he knows how she must have felt when because he was on his knees with his wife next to him carrying their baby, and he was about to lose everything. uh
Right.
daryl Daryl says something we haven't heard in seasons, little ass kicker.
Yes. And
And
she
then
called him big ass kicker.
she called him big ass kicker. Father Gabriel's full circle moment, I already touched on that. Daryl, we ain't the Walking Dead. Oh, and then Eugene is putting the dynamite together. And I don't know if it's a callback or not, but Rosita was always the one that was messing with the dynamite when they were building the bridge, and then when they were getting rid of some walkers, I think it was on the freeway. Either way, Eugene learned what he was doing through Rosita with the dynamite, and no Scott. There was no Scott. There was Diane.
No
Diane was
Scott.
there, but there was no
Diane.
Scott. He's
Yes.
the only one
No
that,
Scott.
yeah, that I was hoping we saw that we didn't.
And Ezekiel is the new governor,
Which that
and
also answers our
Mercer was the first lieutenant,
yes, and that also answers our question
and
from
Carol's the new land.
yes. All right, let me go over first of all what I brought up in the beginning, or if we were in prep when I brought it up. But the original ending, before they got Rick and Michonne to sign on, the original ending was 15 years later, and it was Ezra, Judith, RJ, Gracie, and someone else. And they're in a car, and they're on the walkie, saying, "Is there any survivors out there?" Yada yada yada. But basically, RJ, who's Rick Grimes, I mean Rick Jr., he's on the walkie, and he says,
Right,
basically says what Rick says in the first season, the first episode, I think. Anyone out there, just let us know. We'll come help or whatever. This is Rick Grimes.
right.
RJ says that, and then someone says hello, and then that's how it ended. That was the
Okay.
original ending
Where
before they
can
brought
you
back.
see that on YouTube?
No, I will send you pictures though. I seen pictures of who they had cast for the roles. I'll flash them right here. Those are
Okay.
the kids that they had for the role. But the ending we did get, Rick and Michonne. Rick's part
Right.
was before Michonne left the show. So it was current
Oh,
and the past. That's how Michonne, because Michonne has his shoes. Michonne has the phone
his
already.
boots.
Michonne,
Right.
yeah, has all that already. This shows how he left them in the boat for her to find them. So they ran them concurrently. We saw them happening at the same time, going back and forth. But
Right.
Rick's happened a few years back, and Michonne's is happening present because he puts his boots and the phone in the bag, and then he throws it on that boat. And knowing that, if you go back and watch it, you'll go ahead
Okay.
and
Because when
yeah, when he
when
holds his
he holds his hands up and the helicopter is coming, and then you see Michonne take off, I thought maybe Michonne was
yeah,
trying to get to him before the helicopter did.
it,
But the
it,
way
it
you
made
said it
it
makes a lot more
it
sense.
made it look like she saw him, and I think that's what they wanted the audience to think. But if you go back and watch it, he you could see him distinctly, him putting
Right.
his boots and the phone that Michonne now has in the bag. Then he throws it.
Right. Okay.
That's all
That
that
makes more
follows.
sense.
Now it's time to rate the episode. What do you give the last episode ever of The Walking Dead?
Maybe an 8.
That's honest. That's
It wasn't
honestly.
what I expected. I expected.
Well, what did you expect though? See, this is what we were starting to talk about in prep, and I'm like, let's talk about it on the show. What did you expect?
Right. What I expect. I don't know. I didn't like the Negan Pamela throwback where they locked Pamela up and said, "We're going to set an example with you." I didn't like that at all.
You would rather they have
Um,
killed her?
yes, absolutely. I think my expectations were more,
I don't know
maybe
what
more of a
my
fanfare type of a goodbye.
I don't know if I had those expectations or not. You had asked me, and I'm like, I don't know what I expected. I don't. But watching it made me realize, like I said in prep, watching it made me realize that it did need to finally end, if that makes
Right.
sense at all. And I like the way it
It
ended.
does,
It
but
ended like the exactly like the comic did. Even with the 15 years later, because in the comic it's Carl, he's an adult instead of adult RJ and Rick. Judith in the
right.
show, it's Carl, and it's kind of the same as the comic. But I do like that Rick and Michonne did make an appearance in it because it can't be The Walking Dead without Ricky Dicky Doodog Grimes. But I don't know. I give it almost a 9, maybe an 8.7.
Yeah.
I was okay with it. I liked it, and I'll watch it again. Will I watch it a bunch of more times? Probably not, but I'll watch it a couple more times.
Yeah. I mean, it
So
was a
about a
good
9.
episode. I thought it was a good episode. I just think the episode before was much better.
Yes, yes. Well, the episode before was setting this one up, though. So, but yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you. I do like this one. Honestly, no, I like this one better than the last one because I give it a solid 9 now that I'm thinking about it and after watching it again. But it wasn't the best ever to me. There you have it.
Um,
We will be back. We're going to go ahead and we're going to continue doing this, Gina, with the other shows, the Dead City, the Daryl
yes.
show, and I'm here as long as you are.
Yes.
So I guess that's it. So we'll see
I
you
am
soon.
too.
We're opening the gate and letting these people in. I'll kill anyone who tries to stop.
Stop, or we will be forced to shoot you. We'll fire back.
Shoot them! Stop! What the hell you doing? We all deserve better than this. You built this place to be like the old world. That was the fucking problem.
If I open the gates, the dead will get in, not just the living.
If you don't, you're gonna lose everything anyway. You got one enemy. We ain't the Walking Dead.